Guys, well, welcome back. If you're watching this video, you either have a BergHOFF pot set, which is missing a nut, or multiple nuts. That's the BergHOFF pot. That's the nuts. It's screwed on, and that is me. Stainless steel, so to make sure you get some stainless steel. And it actually looks like they sort of compress down. So you really got to make it right, because, I mean, once you've lost one, let's get this off here. Once you've lost the first one, it's not compressing down properly, and it's just constantly going to come loose. So, if you like me and you got yourself a little lathe and you thought, well, I'm going to be making parts for a rocket ship, and it's so very exciting. Well, it's not, because, well, you're doing pots, and that's it. So congratulations, welcome to my life. But it's quite interesting, actually. It's not using a lot of. I've only been doing this for 2.5 months. This is the first time I ever even switched a lathe on in my life. So if you're a fellow machinist, and well, I wouldn't really call myself a machinist after 2 months. It's insulting to the guys that have done it their whole lives. But if you're a fellow hobbyist, and maybe you can pick up some ideas, or if you're more experienced and you see I'm doing something wrong, please tell me, because I am a beginner and I'm very open to advice always. I know you're going to moan about the stick out, but it's stainless steel, and I have tested it and it's working fine. I'm not getting a problem. I've checked it throughout the length with the old faithful little starret. Love this. So yes, I'm aware of the stick outs. I'm not having problems. Um, it's got a little shoulder, you can see here. Let's get into focus. And then it's got a M4.7 thread in there, in the right, going up in there. Not very deep. And then it's got a slotted head. So I'm a hobbyist. I don't even have a mill. I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. And it's rounded and all sorts, and has to be relatively precise. I mean, we're not talking about the kind of tolerances we can't even say it. You more experienced guys are used to, but for me, it's quite cool. I think it's quite cool. It's a good start, and it's kind of got to go on the pot right, and it's got to look like the other ones, because these things come in a set, right? And here's the other thing. That's sort of spot welded on or something in there. So you cannot mess this up. You cannot go putting a 0.75 thread on it or something, and then you throw the lid away. So we're just going to pop that on so we don't lose it, and that's it. So you can see it's got to be. Now I made a little drawing which is over there, and I am going to cheat a bit on some of the drawing dimensions. I just make my little drawings and I stick them up with a staple gun, and over there I can either put them on with a magnet, so that does help, and that's how I roll. That's my thing, and I don't know. I just I enjoy it. So what we've got here, let me get this right again. And this is the thing. All I've been doing is making tools for tools that is a tool for the other tool that must this tool and that tool, and then another tool for holding your camera so you can make a video of you making other tools. And I actually get to make very little. So welcome to the wonderful world of machining. Another guy here yesterday come and drop off a tap chart, and he went from machining on a mine to construction, and he said it's so peaceful. And I'm like, I work construction, bro. I know how bad construction is. So I don't, if this is like, I don't even want to know what it was like. So kudos to you experienced guys, you stick with it. So what I've done, I have made a few changes. I believe Harbor Freight does a similar one. Made a very few small changes. I got my quick change tool post from, that's off Temu. I just got 2 of it, so I've got 4 of these and extras. Then I've mulled out a little block that you'll see a bit later. This is dead straight enough. And I've stuck a ruler on there with a magnet. And then we're going to get to that in a bit. So I think first off, I'm going to face this off. I don't have a digital RPM display on. Let me just straighten this because that's really, that's better. On the lathe, it just has got a manual speed control knob, forward, reverse. You have to manually change gears, and of course your e-stop. So that is pretty much old school. That no fancy gear shifters, nothing. It didn't come with a carriage lock. I've had to make a carriage lock, which is basically just tightening up there. That's a tap handle, bolt runs all the way through, and you know what? It works. Measuring block, it works. Measuring ruler, it works. Obviously, rulers work. We know that. So onto it. I made my little drawing. I know that the outside diameter of the main thing is 7 mils. I've actually gone down to 6.9, 6.9, 6.8, and I'm going to show you why. My little jig to do the milling is exactly 7, so I'm getting a bit of scraping on the side there, and I do hope that works and doesn't sit as snug, so it's not going to damage a finished product. So I machined it down already, not going to waste your time with that. So we're going to get to the usual when we're starting off with a face off. Let's get on it. And of course, if you set your direction control, your lathe switches on. So I'm using the roll on the stainless and Tapmatic. It's going to get us a little touch off here. Now I don't want to, I was just sort of manually moving around on the carriage control, and then I'll lock it up for my final face off. Great stuff. And what I like about that is that it can allow me to ensure that there's no nubbin or anything left there. It is centered up really nicely. So I know that this tool is straight up on the center of the workpiece. So I'm good with that. So let's get our little pilot drill. Stopped at the pharmacy to get a drug dispenser of my choice this morning. Because I was having a problem with the Tapmatic for this, and that is it's very thin, and it dispenses like 20 million times as much as it should. So that's my solution. I did make it a little bit blunt, so I don't stab myself by accident. And we're just going to hit a little pilot hole here. I'm happy with that. Now it is an M4, so I'm using a 3.2 cobalt because we're going into stainless. We're done with that. and chuck it. But this is what I do with my drill bits. Cobalt drills are really expensive for the hobbyist. So as I need them, as I buy them for the certain taps, I just stick them in a piece of wood. Obviously, it's easy to get the right size hole because you just drill it. So I got my 3.2, I mark it. That's for the UNC tap. So I know exactly it's a 12mm cobalt. I only use them really here. I'm not using them every day out in the field. Now, we need to drill for this little bolt that it sticks out of the lid, right? So we need to measure it, and the way I've done that is I've made this little device. Again, we're making tools for the tool to fit the tool, and I can actually drill and check the depth by just getting it on there, sliding it up and tightening it, so you can have a look at that. And this I use quite often. It's just a little bit of tool steel nailed, a little tightener in there, and this is a 1.6mm tungsten rod, for those places that your veneer cannot get into, your veneer calipers, finer depths. So we're going to be using that quite a bit, but for now I know that this hole needs to be 4.75. I am going to compensate on the overall length just a little, like 1/2 mil. So I actually just want this to go in about 5 mil. So I'm going to get it up onto there, back it off just a touch, and then this is actually just a pipe bracket that I put an aluminium bush on, made a groove in it with a bit of black marking, and then 2 little magnets and a small ruler. So I'm going to put it on the close to 2, and I'm going to go into 1.5. So chuck's going to move, ruler stays there, and I've got a marking. Let's see if we can zoom into that. I think that will be quite cool. There we go. Now you can see what I have done there. So let's get it rock and rolling and drill this hole bit by bit. Let's go. That's right. So, just lost the compressor, so you give me a minute, we'll be right back. And we're back. Sorry about that. Get a little bit more in. So you sort of get the idea over here. We're going to stop that at 1.5. I am just backing it out because the chips coming out are getting smaller and smaller. So I have to back it out, clean it out. So there I have 4.75 to 5 mil in there. And what we can do is double check it. And we're not going to do anything unless I've moved in there. So again, I'm just going to loosen this up. Hold it all in place. And now we can see how much we've got out. So let's have a look. You see our veneer isn't zeroing. So there's a simple solution. piece of paper, and off we go onto 0. So I'm going to pop this on the back. .5. It should be 4.75. So let's just drop it in a little bit more. And I'm going to 0 that up. Send it. I think we're going to be happier with that. Maybe a little bit over, but that's not the end of the world. Okay, it should be. I'm happy with that. Is 5 because we're going to compensate on the overall length. That's pretty much that one done. We're done with the drill. I can go. Let's tap it, because we're going to be cutting very, very close. The shoulder is 5 mils, so we're going to be cutting quite close. So now what I've had to do is actually use an end tap as a starter tap. It is a high cut, but it's still quite sharp. I need it tapped all the way in. So that's going to be our starter tap, and that's going to be our finish tap. And what I've done is I have, to make sure they're clean. Oh, we lost it. Oh, damn. Let's get that on the hole. I've put a small little cable tie around here, so we can do that. And we can check when to stop, so we don't snap taps off. Because at this stage of the game, when you've taken all the time to get that right, you don't want to be snapping taps, that's for sure. So I'm going to whack the handle on. This is a really old, it's really tight. It's really horrible. Been wanting to order another one, but I haven't yet. For the smaller taps, got a stack of them for the bigger ones, nothing for the smaller. That's our depth of hole. We don't want to exceed it, so let's adjust it, because it's adjustable. Small little cable tie. What do you call them in the States? Zip tie. Solve the world tie. So that's really quite handy, and a cable tie. Prevents you from snapping off a tap. So let's see if we can bang it in, again with a little bit of Tapmatic. Drug dispenser of choice. I can actually bang it in there. Get it on as straight as possible. And off we go. Now I know you're saying, well, you can just put it in the chuck, and you can just, there's a lot of, you can just, this is just how I like to, very short, it's going in quite straight, and they're very good taps. So I'm up against the cable tie, and I'm starting to feel a little bit of resistance. So you're dealing with stainless, let's not push the envelope. Go real slow if you want. And this is why you never throw away your broken taps, because you're going to need them one day. to do stuff like that. So we are going in real tight there. So we have to exercise caution, which is not my strong point. That's why I'm doing this, you guys. Really, if you got better ideas, you got your own videos on how you make the stuff, put it in the comments, and let's what I'm saying is help a beginner out. So I'm probably not going to snap that tap, but having said that, I probably will. We've given it a clean, and yeah, I'm probably dispensing a little bit too much Tapmatic. This is the tricky bit, getting this in real square, because this is where you're going to destroy your thread. And it is moving in very comfortably. And I can feel that, there we go, cutting against that last bit. So this is, this is machining, I guess. You have to even make your own taps. You'll go and spend a fortune on one. So they're quite good taps, and I've got a few of them, so I don't mind cutting one up. Not going to take that out all the way. Just going to give it a bit of a blow, make sure the thread is clean and clear. All debris, give it a last run. These cable ties, lifesaver really. Righty, we are done with that. That's the end one. That's the same thread. Let's pop it in. So now comes the fun bit. That's all great. Nothing wrong with that. I'm going to check for burrs, which isn't really going to be a problem. If you look, you're going to see down here. Are we on wide angle already? Oh, we are. I'm going to turn this up. We need the shoulder. And the shoulder has to be 1.6 mil in here. And I'm not very good with these dials. So what I'm going to do is touch off on there. Keep that aside. And I know that the inner bit, this inner diameter, the outer diameter of the inner diameter, did I say that right? Must, oh, you see I got splinters already. What do you guys do with splinters? Oh, geez. I've made this little setup which works quite nicely for me. So with this block, with this here block, that is not the right one. I have two options. I can measure my absolute distance, because I've got an angle compound, obviously, here and here. So all that you need to do is get that on roughly square, and then you can move. Now I've made this plate so you can actually move it aside and get it in, because there's nothing worse than trying to struggle with these little tightening efforts. Nothing worse than that. So I'm touched off, I'm pretty much on there, and that's my 0. I'm going to give the machine a slow turn to remove a burr or anything that could be causing any problems, which there was. Now I am 100% touched off on the end. So come out, and I'm going to move in 1.6. Obviously, we never know if that's 100% perfect, so we're going to see soon enough. We're one down. Well, I dare say that's close as damn it, eh? That's really bothering me. I have a blade somewhere. On chart 0. Now we're going to measure in 1.6. That's 1, 1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6. Lovely. We'll finish with that one for now. Now we can come in ever so slightly. Cut up to the shoulder. We'll do something you guys are not going to enjoy, especially the older timers, is this. Give it a clean first. Take the calibration. Great. Close it a bit hard there. I don't know. I struggle to use a veneer on here because to get a parallel, you don't really have a lot of real estate on a mini lathe. So, and we are on 5.6 righty then. So I'm just going to run 1 or 2 passes over without changing anything. Just want to see if any, because we have got quite a bit of stick out, I want to see if any debris is going to be cut off onto the tool. Now I get the next setup, which was the first setup, because we're done with that setup. So we've made this setup, and I'm not going to sit and work out the sine law and all that cuck just for a micrometer and an angle compound. What I'm going to do is zero it, make sure I'm backed off a bit, and we are on 5.6. So I'm going to go in just a little under 0.3. Say 0.15, because that should get us down to 5.3. And I don't want to have any chatter by pushing it too hard, especially with that stick out. Now, speaking of chatter, there's a bit of solder wire around the end of this, and I don't have a very long stick out, so I should be okay. Really should be okay. Now we're on 5.3. We were on 5.6, so 0.15 is a magic. It's got a good finish, so I'm happy with that. We're going to zero it up. I'm not going to go incremental. I'm going to zero it every time. And I'm going to go in. Well, first I'm going to get it closer, because this isn't absolutely perfect. And I tried filing it and everything. I actually tried 1,000 paper with a bit of Tapmatic on. Worked all right, actually. It wasn't too bad. So you can see the rubber on my needles starting to fail me. So we're going to go in 1.15. And that should take us to our desired, gone a little bit over, to our desired 5 millimeters with the correct 1.6 shoulder depth, and we've already got our thread. Everything is good. So far, so good. There's something jumped there, and I think it was there. But I'm going to take that home. I am going to take that home. We are 0.01 millimeters under. That's good enough for a pot lid. Don't tell Elon Musk I said that. They probably have special pot lids on Mars. Right, so we're not done with that. What I do have is a slight burr there. That is not too bad, but this small burr, I'm just going to take care of with a file quickly. Not chamfering, just getting off a small burr. Clean it up so there's nothing can run, nothing gonna touch you. I shouldn't do that too often. Guess your old timers must be like crying into your tequila by now. It's like, how's this okay? This guy's gonna have no fingers left in his next month of machining. Right. So our parting tool, not what we need right now. This one. Now, if you can see here, I've used a 1.5 mil high-speed steel 3. It's a 12 mil height, and it is, I believe, 1.5 or 2. I can't remember. That's 2.5. No, something 0.5. That's a completely unknown amount. And I've just ground it around in a little Dremel with a little grindstone on high-speed steel enough. Probably a little bit too much relief there, but it's just a form tool. This is what we're going to use to form. Now, because it's a form tool, first thing I'm going to do, obviously, still, is check the height just against the center. I'm just eyeballing it. And then I am going to snug it up onto there. I'm going to get rid of this micrometer. And I'm going to put this one back on, because I measure a total length of 6.85. When I went up to 7, it was sufficient, but I didn't do too well on the actual forming of it. Little felt feet on this is a thick, I think it's 8 mil plate, so that's not going anywhere in a hurry. So I'm going to jack that up to about 9, make sure it's square, give everything a tap, make sure I don't lean on the table. And because this is a barbecue stand that I'm using, I'm old, I'm 52, and my back ain't so great, and been a handyman all my years, and now I am doing garage doors by myself, so it's very hard in the back, so I need to have this at the correct height, not too close that it's not like it's just at the correct height. And the best thing I could get was a really solid barbecue stand that I just sort of welded up and tightened it up, and yeah, I got to say it's working like a treat. So it's going to clear there. We're still on 0, so it says 6.85, so I'm going to go 7 and cheat with 7.5, so I get a bit more. And then for this, I always forget to count, and I know it's got a little dial, but I mean it's just too advanced for me. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I still count on my fingers, so I'm going to go 7.5. To give me a bit more allowance for the depth of that thread, and it needs to round, and then it needs to be able to give me enough height, because my mill has only got a 1.5, but that's a 1 mil slot, so I've got to go deeper so you don't end up stripping it like I did the last one. So I'm learning from mistakes here. I'm going to tighten up the carriage real nice, get my little syringe out again. I love doing this like in the movies, you know. See where they can. It's time for some Tapmatic, so we can get a good flow, good constant flow, and that works really well. I had it in this bottle, and just use like a liter every time you're parting, because it's so thin, so it just shoots out. So that wasn't working for me, which is why I picked up a syringe with a hypodermic today. Check, tighten, check, RPMs down. Hit it forward, everything good. And I'm going to slowly, I think I'm probably on about 100. Move anything that's going to bother me out the way. That's why I've left my chuck there. Now, if you'll notice, I've not ground out a chip relief on this, so you may struggle a little, or chip breaker. And what's nice about a solid hypodermic is that you can also get rid of your bird's nests. Don't forget to actually squeeze the plunger, like I just forgot to squeeze the plunger there. And I'm gonna just stop there. And I know I shouldn't stop mid part, but I'm gonna stop there to actually zoom into the action. So you guys can see what's happening here. That's not a bad. Let's go. Resume. Need to blow it clean to have a real good look. Righty. Now for my next party trick. This it's really still quite sharp. It's done well, hey? There you can see my profile. Let's clean it, eh? Try and get that into focus. Focus. You can have a look. It's not bad. 2 months. And you can see my. I'm going to check for a bit of rub on here, because that's why I was blowing it at the end. It should have been kept cool, but I was blowing it because I didn't want to overdo it here and notch into this outer diameter of the outer diameter. So that's pretty nice. There's no problems whatsoever there. So we're going to do again a bit of a cleanup, not really necessary. I'm just doing this because I know it makes old timers cringe. It's like, you can't put your hands in there. Of course I can. What you can also do is put some Tapmatic on there and give it a whirl. Gets it in the groove. And to top it off, I'm going to take some pink paste and a Dremel bit just to take care of all of this. Right, yeah, I know that made a lot of you guys cringe. Honestly, yeah, I quite enjoyed it. The old timers cringe. You can't do that. You know, if you look at my hands, there's a lot of things that I shouldn't do, and I do anyway. But it's quite a pretty little part. That, I mean, it's a pot lid nut, but it's an expensive set of pots. It's a hellish expensive set of pots, and you know, to have a missing nut, now you're rendering it useless. And let's just center that again. And so where it doesn't seem to be important to me, it's important to the missus because it costs her a lot of money and she loves her pots. And they're falling apart, which is a bit of a design flaw. It's a design flaw, but I got to tell you, they're well made. You know, I've measured these things with the calibrated digital meter 2. So I think that's going to give fairly accurate. And it's hitting dead nuts. 7.5, 7.5, 7.5. All of them. It's really, really well done. These things are great. So before we scratch anything, check my center again on now the parting tool. And this is where I go wrong because you really got to hit it quite a bit across. Not quite far across here, really. Really have to do something about the positioning of this to make it turn. Oh well, I'd love to just zoom into that bit. So let's go in a bit. Right, here we are. Focus, focus. Tighten center. Now, this is the problem with angling a compound, is that the parting tool, and there's no stick out. I mean, it's just no more room left there. So again, I'm going to go down to a lower speed on this before I switch it on. And I'm going to eyeball it in first before we do anything. Then heat it up. I don't like that noise. I'm going to get some. Lovely chip forming there. Now, there's a small problem. I have to come and scratch across. I'm going under. I've got a feeling I'm going under. Feeling it's lifting. What I really want is a little nubbin. Would you believe it? I want the nubbin. Again, something that's a no-no. Hold your part while you're parting it. Probably not the brightest, but there you go. That is nice and cool, and I don't mean cool as in like, hey, man, that looks pretty cool. But it's got a little nubbin on it in there. And that is going to be our friend. So what we have to do is move across to the milling machine. And you can see our thread, everything. So far, so good. I'm quite happy with that. And again, happy with the parting. Everything went smooth according to plan. Let's switch it off. Clean. Pause the video so we can move. Just have a look. I'm not going to cheat and do anything until we get to the mill. And here we are. And by mill, I mean this. So what we've got here is poor man's mill. Again, relatively sketchy, but hell, let's have some fun, you know. So what I've got is a drill, can do 2850 RPM in a relatively good old, I wouldn't trust a newer one of these. My problem is I've got a cross plane vise over here that works really nicely, needs a lot of setting up, but you also need the clearance. So I had it in that drill press over there, and I only had so much clearance. You can't get a bigger drill. Then you undo your whole setup, because I used lasers, squares, the whole katootie. We're just cutting a screw head here, so it's not the end of the world. I can get some, I get some good results with this. I mean, we're going to see. It's but 1.5 mil, that's in the end mil. And I've got that little nubbin, which is again going to be our friend. Now, the first time I tried putting it in the vase, I tried everything. How do you hold that while you mill it? So the answer is simple. This is a little bracket that you get with a gate motor to put the reservoir on. So I've drilled a hole, 7, 5. I think that's pretty explanatory. And I'm going to bolt it on like this. So I'm first going to get it finger snug. And you see, this is why I went down to a little bit under 7. So it actually gets in there relatively comfortably and sits snug underneath there. Without scratching too much on the sides of this, because you know, well, you know, you got to get it to stay there, can't move. This is stainless. We're hitting it with a 1.5 mil on a drill press, 2800 RPM, which I will tell you is it's guesswork, eh? It's guesswork. That's how I got to that point. And then I kind of line it up like this. These jaws and everything I know are for the most, look, they're about as best as you're going to get it. They're about the best you will get it. This is why I like the nubbin, because I've locked this carriage. I can, first things first, line it up, because it's in the center. So now I know that we're going to move across the center here. It makes us kind of ready to rock and roll. So it also, Electric drill's got a speed control. Alright, apologies for the noise. It is a mill. When I look at that, I think I can actually say I'm altogether unhappy with it. There is a little bit of fine tuning we can do. So we're just going to clean it up a little. I need to do too much. Just don't want to get an injury there, you know. And I know I'm probably not the most safety conscious dude. I mean, I'm like milling this thing in a drill press at over 2,500, having a smoke. I mean, this is Africa, hey? Welcome to Africa, bro. We make a plan. Check it out. I think I threw the wrong thing on the floor. Probably better. There's so much cleaning products on the floor. I don't know if I want to. Right, let's move around back to our spot here and angle this down. Can't seem to find a good place for this. That'll do for now. So we have some. I'm not taking it out yet. We're not going to do that because first, Dremel time. Give it a good clean. I think that all the most. A little more on top. Righty, let's look at our almost completed project. We find sometimes you're not going to get it right, and it isn't going to go in there right. So you don't want to. You just want to get the nut off. Give it a tap with my little tap automatic. Silly dad joke there. Just my little jig, and that is not looking too bad at all. I think we're going to do my favorite but least favorite part of the whole project. Brake cleaner. And I'll tell you why it's my least favorite, because this is the bit. Bang it with compressed air and send it flying off to Neverland. But actually, we didn't lose it, because I've lost a number of bits that way. Give it a blow and off it goes, a little key pin or driver pin or something. Man, I've got to tell you, you're heartbreaking. You're not going to find it in that garage. And there we have it. So the only difference we've got here, the finish is the same. Speaking of finished, that's finished. Finish is the same. So I've got you guys at an awkward angle here. It looks the same. It's got the same curve on it. I got lucky with that tool. It's the first one I made. First one you make always works. The second one you make never works. Neither do subsequent ones. So if you make a tool that works, just stick with that tool. You know, don't go messing around. Don't go, this tool works, let's improve it. It doesn't work. I'd prefer to use a bigger sort of pocket knife blade for this because of that difference. And this thread isn't great because you can end up just damaging the thread. But we haven't. And it's on. So we have successfully made ourselves a BergHOFF pot lid nut. And I know you're sort of thinking, well, you know, it's a bit of an effort to go to for a pot. We'll just You know, if you now try to explain to your missus, well, that's a bit of an effort to go to for a pot. You might find that she may just decide, let's give it another whirl with a Dremel. I don't think my battery is making such a really good connection here. Can go around. She may just decide that using the pot is a bit too much of an effort. Now I need to see which one is the one I made. And you don't want that. You know, you want it to be happy with the purchase of your mini lathe. And the only way you're going to do that is to, well, make her some pot lid nuts. As you can see, these are my microphones. I keep two because if the battery dies. And in case you're wondering what that was, it's a fun little project, and it may seem like a pot lid, but there's a lot more to it. You're working with stainless. That's a learning curve. You are making form tools. There's forming, there's parting, there's drilling. You have to make measuring tools. You have to be able to measure accurately, draw accurately, interpret your measurements, work out where are the tolerances lower, where are they higher, where can I not afford, basically to be wrong, where can I afford to be wrong? I can afford to be wrong there. As long as I use a really, really big screwdriver, I'm not going to bugger it up. I don't think you can put Loctite on this, so I'm just going to get a bigger flathead screwdriver. Oh look, that's another one now, tightened. Guys, yeah, so I'm actually thinking of banging a few of these out, and if you are interested, let us know. I hope you watch the whole video before you just pop me a comment, and I'll leave my email link in the description because well, you can see how much work it is. But for amateur products projects on your mini lathe, there's a lot of projects out there, and this is very unique. So just to give you a quick tour, I keep all my obviously Allen keys, normally the coolants and stuff I leave up here, and it's out of the way. That is my paper for cleaning, which we're done with. That is our pot lid with a new nut. I made one out of tool steel. It rusted within a day. Got to use stainless. 7mm, absolutely necessary. Keep my little spanners in that. Everything in there. My spare tool bits. Done with that, can go in there. In my drawer here. Over here I have my dull veneer, digital veneer, both Mitutoyo and my Starret. I love this. I've got two Mitutoyos, one cheapie, and then a Moore and Wright, but it's just for thickness. It's got the sharp bits here. That is the only one I trust, is my Starret. The other ones are old antiques. In fact, here is one, but I use a Starret. Just rebuild them. I rebuild these as a hobby and collect them. I love it. And Orb Tools junk drawer. Orb Tools junk drawer. Over here is my steel base, which I can move around. I have a number of my dial indicators here. I normally try to keep that like that so it doesn't get sparks in, because I've had that happen once. Down here, junk drawer on steroids. Just a thing, these Lansky sets, great for sharpening, just honing high-speed steel stone. And then in there is my tap and die sets. plural, and chisel sharpener, some grinding stones, and junk desk, junk drawers. Now keep a few tools, keep a few lathe tools, some engineering blocks and that. And so I do use the squares often, always squaring off the chuck. Whoa, what's in here? Spare lathe tools, bits, inserts, all that crap. Drill bits, inserts, milling bits. And then that's just adhesive. So I keep a little project tray, all the stuff I'm using for the project in the tray. That way I'm not looking for it all the time. Dremel, you know that. That compressor, loads of air. You need loads of air. And here I'm a little bench grinder. Oh, Black & Decker. Doesn't even have bearings. It's got copper bushes. Had to fix them. And my milling machine. So guys, that is my little workshop. And yeah, after 2.5 months, well, oh yes, my drill bits, boring bars, valves, abrasives over there. After 2.5 months, I think I'm doing okay. And I got to tell you, the one that I did that was rusting went back in the pot drawer. There's a load of these. A whole set was bought. And then I searched for it because I couldn't find it. Could only find, only way to tell is that is 1.5. And I think that's 1 mil. That's the only way to tell. Otherwise, it's just beautiful, man. It's beautiful. I love it. So guys, it's been a long video. It's been a fun video. Thank you for watching. And we will catch you next time. And also, of course, yeah, if you're looking for some, I'll put my email in the description. So thank you very much and have a good day.